Fellas, Asa here. Welcome to another video. Now, this is my first video of 2020, so happy new year to everybody. Sorry, the video that I'm going to do today was supposed to be the last video of the last year, but something came up, got a bit busy with work, so I couldn't really get it done. So this is basically part 2 of the most influential designer or fragrances, I should say, of the last decade. And this one is a result of your vote. So you guys voted for it, and I'm collecting the information and presenting it to you. Some of the votes were for Terre d'Hermès, which was released in 2006, I believe, last to last decade. And the other one was Tuscan Leather. That was again in the decade previous to that. Some great votes here. Some fragrances got more than one vote. So here they are. I'll start the list with one of the fragrances that created a stir. It was released in 2015 and it created a stir. It still is one of the most influential fragrances. People love it. It is the Eau Sauvage. Now, I don't really like the Eau Sauvage EDT, so it's not in my collection. But I do give it the respect it deserves. It is one of those fragrances which might have started the guy, some person's journey into perfume, into fragrances, because it's one of those fragrances that is quite versatile. It's very, very strong. It projects a lot, and it has a certain quality which attracts women towards you. All of which are quite essential, especially if you're just getting off with your fragrance journey. So the Eau Sauvage EDT. Now it's basically an ambroxan-based fragrance, and I won't say it started the trend, but what it did do is create a niche for itself, because it was one of the most recognized fragrances in the designer game, especially for people who like attention-seeking fragrances, especially clubbing, young chaps. I've smelled people wearing it to work, which I don't think it fits the work ambiance. Work environment doesn't really go well with the Eau Sauvage. But yeah, the Eau Sauvage EDT has to be one of the most influential fragrances of last decade. So that's one. There are 5 in this video. There were 5 in the previous one. Now the next one. Next one is a fragrance that basically resurrected a brand. It is one of my favorites, Dunhill Icon. Now this fragrance, before it came out, Dunhill was a very ordinary brand. This one came out, I believe, in 2015 or maybe 2016. And the moment it hit the shelves, it touched the chord. It basically resonated with people who didn't want to spend too much money, but wanted to smell something modern, classy, masculine, and compliment worthy. This fragrance is all of that. I've done a full review, you can check it out. This fragrance is single-handedly one of those fragrances that I easily would be recommending to people who come to me for, just a versatile fragrance, jack of all kind of fragrance. This is beautiful. It's basically neroli combined with a very, very fine cardamom. Neroli gives it freshness, cardamom makes it very aromatic. There are other notes as well. It's a very easy to wear, versatile, likable compliment magnet. It's not very expensive. It's a budget fragrance, so it might not appeal to people who like their fragrances to be luxury, smelling expensive. Doesn't smell expensive, but I'll tell you, it is a fragrance that does a lot of things very well. Beautiful fragrance, guys. Very influential. That's why it's in this list. That's the second one. The third fragrance is from a house which did exactly that. It resurrected a house. And it is, again, not one of my favorites, Bentley for Men Absolute. Now this fragrance basically pulled Bentley out of the doldrums and established Bentley squarely and firmly as one of the great designer houses. Everybody talks about this fragrance. It is compared to a couple of niche fragrances. For me, it doesn't do a lot for me. The damage you see on the bottle is not because of me consuming it. It's basically me selling the decants. But this fragrance is all about a very boozy leather with incense and some spices. Also, I think there's a note of tobacco. For me, why don't I like it? 2 reasons. One, it goes dead on my skin. It really doesn't project, but on a lot of people it projects a lot and lasts a long time. On me, it lasts a long time, but it goes completely dead. And it's so synthetic that it sort of gives me a headache. So I don't like it. But this video is not about my personal tastes. It's not about my opinion on which one is the greatest. It's about the influence a particular fragrance has had on the industry in the last decade. And Bentley for Men Absolute is definitely one of those fragrances which stood out. And it's appreciated and liked by many people. Some people compare it to niche fragrances like Chambre Noir. Even if it wasn't niche quality, it isn't niche quality. Even if it wasn't, this fragrance has a special place in people's collection, and I totally respect that. So that's number 3. And you know, it projects a lot on some people, not on me, unfortunately. So yeah. Next on my list is a fragrance which I absolutely adore. I've done a full review, and it's one of the most recognizable fragrances from that brand. It has had a very positive effect on that brand, and it is Lalique Encre Noire à l'Extrême. I wouldn't say à l'Extrême is the most influential, but if you take 4 of these, you know, Encre Noire followed by Sport, à l'Extrême, and there's another one I believe. These 4 together, the Encre Noire brand, if you like, has done exactly what Dunhill has done for, what Icon has done for Dunhill, what Bentley for Men Absolute has done for Bentley. This is exactly what this particular series has done for Lalique. So many people love it. It's all about incense, cypress, elemi, and vetiver. It's basically a vetiver fragrance, but here the incense and the elemi give it this resinous, smoky quality, and there's little subtle sweetness as well. It's a beautiful fragrance, guys. Absolutely amazing. Doesn't cost a lot of money. In fact, all these 3 that I've shown you, barring Sauvage, don't cost a lot of money. And that's probably one of the reasons it's so successful. But I do understand that Laliques are not very cheap everywhere, especially France, where I think it is quite expensive. But Encre Noire à l'Extrême is my personal favorite. I've also reviewed the sport version. I used to have it, but I sold it because I just didn't get the kick out of it. À l'Extrême is an absolutely fabulous fragrance. Came out in 2016, 2015. Again, done a full review, you can check it out. But according to me and according to you all, Encre Noire à l'Extrême is one of the most influential fragrances released in the last decade. Now, time for the final one. Again, a fragrance which I don't like much, but it is probably the most influential fragrance apart from Ventus of the last decade. And it is Baccarat Rouge 540. Now, Baccarat Rouge 540 is a phenomenal fragrance for a lot of people. Not for me, because it smells very sweet when it starts off. Almost candy-like sweetness, which I don't like. But the fragrance in itself is such an airy, radiant, gleaming kind of a fragrance which creates an impression of glass, even crushed glass. And if you think about it, Baccarat is famous for chandeliers, for glassworks. In fact, my first encounter was in Italy, in Venice, when I was walking in St. Mark's Piazza, and there was these chandeliers at the top, which were made of Baccarat crystals. And that's the first time I understood and learned about what Baccarat does, or Baccarat is. And obviously Versailles, the Palace of Versailles, is famous for its Baccarat chandeliers. So this fragrance, 540, tries to create an impression. Basically, it's a lemony amberwood fragrance, but somehow it gives off this candy-like sweetness with other nuances. I'll have to get a decant to give you a full account, which I will. I don't like it personally, but it creates this crushed glass-like impression. And it's very, very creative and very radiant and beautifully composed. And it struck a chord with so many people. So many people love it. And in my part 1 video, you'll see a lot of people have voted for Baccarat Rouge 540. That gives you an idea that it's a very influential fragrance. It's been well loved, well liked. People just love wearing it. They get compliments. So definitely, people's choice, Baccarat Rouge 540 is probably one of the most influential fragrances released last decade. So hopefully you liked the video, fellas. If you do give it a like. See you soon. Take care.